entrepreneurs. Thank you for joining us for the 4 pillars of entrepreneurship. It's a holistic approach to entrepreneurship that's in the area of health, wealth, personal growth, and business development. And today, I welcome Cheryl Ivaniski. She helps high achievers, entrepreneurs, health, business professionals, and those with high stress levels who want to fast track their health and healing with the holistic approach to healing. She is the creator of her signature mentoring program, The 7 Habits of Highly Healthy People. She specializes in skyrocketing your energy, shows you how to blast through mindset filter, self-empowerment, and to discover and thrive in what else is possible for you, all while enriching your quality of health. She helps you absolutely transform your lifestyle. Cheryl is a wellness authority, Dr. Holistic Medicine-Acupuncture, 4 times international best-selling author, speaker, expertly trained in natural nutrition, biofeedback, mind-body medicine, and hypnotherapy. She is the founder of the Lifestyle Wellness Center and lifestyle coaching programs and holistic diabetes solution, and the Academy of Holistic Diabetes Education, which offers certification and accreditation programs. She has been in practice for over 27 years, and she has served and affected healing pain for over 100,000 people and has delivered over 1,000 presentations. Welcome, Cheryl. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thank you, Annie. It's awesome to be here with you.
Great. What would be a couple of examples of how you would put a busy entrepreneur back on track by kicking their stress to the curb?
Well, that's a loaded question. I think the first thing to do, as an entrepreneur, you and all of your listeners and audience and myself being an entrepreneur for over 36 years in multiple businesses, as entrepreneurs, we are high achievers. Would you agree with that, Annie?
Yes.
There's something that drives us.
We sustain for that long, right? I've been around for 30 years as an entrepreneur, so yes.
Well, there's something in our blood, that's just a passion, and it's just something, as entrepreneurs, we're a breed of wanting to contribute, wanting to do, wanting to give. So I think as high achievers, whether we're in any business as an entrepreneur, I think that when you'll read that entrepreneurs have the highest level of stress and the longest hours of anyone in any career, we have to look at really managing our days and managing our health, because stresses, although there's good types of stress and then stresses that challenge us, and stress, just for our listeners, is this. It's the body's reaction to something that causes it to change. So we know that there's something that comes up in our brain says, I don't really want to do this. This is out of my comfort zone. So it's a reaction to something that's either real or perceived, but a stress is something that triggers something in your body, just so that everyone has that basis. So the thing is stresses can be chronic, they can be long-term, and they're normally things that we can work through and get over. However, having a number of them all together at one time is when we can get overwhelmed and overloaded. Have you ever felt that way?
Yes, but for me, I live stress. I need stress to kick me, really get going, and then I like the relaxing part.
Okay,
so
yeah. What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
I need that tension, in order, for me to push forward really hard. And
right.
Then I like that contrast of being so peaceful, because if I'm peaceful all the time, I wouldn't know the contrast, but I like extreme contrast. Maybe that's why I'm different.
Maybe that's why. Well, it's interesting because, people can describe stress as, that feeling when your ears grow hot, or when your heart is beating so much, or your mouth gets dry, or you just can't focus. Those are all examples of stress in the body. And there's many types of stress. There's emotional, there's physical, there's mental, there's environmental. As a busy entrepreneur, I think one of the biggest things for us is the emotional and mental stresses. The deadlines we want to get, the new products we want to get out, things like this. There's always something, because as an entrepreneur, as you know, Annie, it's like you need to know everything. You need to know about your product and service. You need to get it to market. You want to scale it. You've got to price it. You've got to sell it. You've got to work on resources and collaborations to scale. So there's a lot. There's a lot to it. So when we talk about stresses, and we're talking about managing them, it's really about recognizing the things that trigger us. So for some people, some triggers can be environments, they can be words, they could be noises. For me, I'll give you a classic example of an entrepreneurial stress. Have you ever felt stressed when you're trying to drive somewhere on our highways and you're in traffic jams?
Well, it's irritation, I guess, that you're sitting there and you can't do anything about it, I think. Well, that's out of your control. I think stress means it's something that's out of your control, but it's the mindset to just switch it, right?
Well, it is a mindset, absolutely, because stress actually calls us to action in a different way too. So we have to be able to manage stress. The thing is, and I think with entrepreneurs, there can be a lot of stress. So one of the first ways to kick stress to the curb is to identify what the stressors are, but then to break things down into small bite size so we're not overwhelmed. I think that's number one. And I know for me, with all the different initiatives I have going on, they're big. So really breaking them down and having them be bite-sized. Do you find that for yourself, Annie? That I know that doing this summit, it's to break it down.
There are lots of processes. What I do is I don't stress myself, because when I stress, then you can't really think straight. But like I'm not that type of like structured person, and I just find it a lot easier when it's come to me naturally, and it's a lot easier. So you don't feel the stress. You just actually, it's more productive, like personally, like it may not apply to other people, is when I just relaxed and just do it, instead of so thinking about all the structure, all the detail, and just stress yourself out before you even actually doing it.
Well, no, and you know what? That's a really, really good point, because stress, as our listeners may be aware of or maybe not, stress is the leading cause of doctors' visits today. It's 70 to 95% of people that visit the doctors, it's stress related. And stress is related to the top 6 killers in the world. So that's why it's so important as an entrepreneur. So stress is simply how the body reacts to something.
Yeah, I think sorry, interrupting.
No, that's okay. Well, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional. But I think with us as entrepreneurs, a lot of it is emotional and mental.
Yeah, like to me, it's overthinking. Because when you think so many details, then you end up not doing anything, because you keep putting all the details, you're stressed over it before you even can do anything. Just like to me, I just go and do it. Just go and do it. And then you can, actually, like I say, I'm more productive when I just go and actually do it. And I don't feel the stress, because I love doing it, right? But I have to be clear on the vision. So as long as every step that I'm acting on, that's just where the path I'm going, right? It's not like, going in whatever direction without, having really a clear vision. It's still having the clear vision, but if you, people like writing a whole plan or whatever, all the detail, and then when they see that plan with all those tasks that they have to do, they might not actually be taking actions. I'm the other way. I just don't stress it. I will do it. Just do it.
Which is great. You see, everybody handles stress differently. And sometimes people don't handle stress, right? Some people are procrastinators and not doers, and things pile up. But that can be like too much overwhelm. But there are, like, when we're stressed, we can also make bad decisions. So it's like you said, like, just go and do it. That's really great. Like, so go do it.
Because things change, right? So when you actually do it, then you adjust it. So the next step that you had written down may not be exactly that second step, because once you did the first step and you know the result, the feedback, and then you might have the change, but that's how I love what I do. That's why my action doesn't stress me out. It's like sitting down, just keep writing all those details that scares me.
But you got to get to it, right?
Yeah.
So when we're looking at stress and what our triggers are, because they're going to be different for everyone, it's really about identifying them and actually making a note and enhancing your awareness of what they are, so that you can identify them like right away. So then you can have some power with them. So I know when I was training in mind-body medicine and hypnosis and NLP, and looking at all of the ways that we can interrupt how things affect us when we don't want them to affect us that way. And what was really cool is identifying and acknowledging, and then looking at how to diffuse stresses. So the first thing is to identify them.
Yes,
one of the really great ways to kick stress to the curb, and this is a workshop that I do for days. And actually, I think I was referring to this to you in one of my books with Les Brown. It's all about identifying stress, and it's all about how to kick it to the curb. What I'll do with your summit here is I'll provide a free PDF download for the audience.
Okay, yeah, we will mention it at the end.
We'll mention it at the end, but that'll be really great. And I'll just put that back.
So to handle stress, number one, we have to identify the stress, because if you don't know what you don't know.
No, if you don't know what you don't know, then you know what, it's just going to always be an issue.
Yes, and then the second is acknowledge it, right, that you do.
Oh, no, yeah.
And that's the third step.
Yes, well, then you want to acknowledge it. And then what you want to do is you want to really make a note of it, because you want to notice how you feel, how it's making you feel. So if you're becoming slightly agitated, or if you're starting to get headaches or feel nauseous, or your ears are, getting hot, you want to recognize how that makes you feel, so that you can just stop. You just stop. And you need to interrupt. You need to interrupt what that stress is doing to you. So, because the effects on your health are crazy. And I know that how stress can affect people, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, because stress can go to burnout. And that's what we don't want. It affects your relationships, it affects your finances, it affects everything. So anyway, so what you do is then you start to make a note. So you start to basically journal about how you're feeling or what's making you feel this way, and then stop. You just stop. Take a time out, take a breather. And you can get up and move from your desk or from whatever environment you're in, and you write down what's causing your symptoms. What is it about it? Is it the environment? Is it the lights? Is it the people? Is it the type of text message or a type of email that you got? Is it that you're doing too many things at one time? So you need to look at what are the stressors, and then how is it affecting you? What are your symptoms, and how is it making you feel? So for me, I know I get agitated and I'll get overwhelmed. So I've got to honestly separate myself from the issue at hand. I need to ground myself. So those are the first things, becoming much more aware of them, so that you can put them into perspective. Now sometimes, and this is very important for entrepreneurs, because we tend to do a lot, sometimes you just have to compartmentalize things, and you don't have to do everything at the same time. So it's okay to say no to everything at once. You can say, okay, this will come over here, but it's not going to come right now today. Do you ever find that with yourself, with all the things you have to do?
Oh, yes. Yes, yeah. Because myself, like, I have put my health number one for probably the past 20 years.
Oh, that's really
because
important.
Without health, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do for your personal life or your business life. There's not going to be a life. So it's like...
Well, you know that, right? You know
Yes.
that.
So let me, until you recognize it, because I didn't, it's not always that way. It just like about around 20 years ago, that's what happened to me. Then I just decided that I would look after my health first.
Yeah.
And then I did like go and find and learn lots of things about personal development. Like, I went on what can help me to improve my health, right?
Right.
Before I even thinking about the longer term of business development, because if I don't have a clear mind, it is not. So I put my business actually in a stance, like a still, like, to get myself back on track with my health, right?
That's great.
Yes.
And that's so important because a lot of people, things show up, in the area of anxiety, overwhelm, worry, even depression, and then other things. I mean, people will, not be able to sleep well. And like you said, it affects your health, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't have that clarity. And then you know what? It's really important because headache, stomach indigestion, irritable bowel, all these things, heart rate, blood pressure, come into play. And that's what we don't want. I know that you know this, Annie, but I was such a go diehard entrepreneur building amazing businesses over the years. But, I didn't have the separation between me and my business. I was all business.
All in, right?
All in. I
Yes,
mean,
because I think we ignore those signals.
yes.
It just, but then it piles up by the time we know about it. Okay, and it just crash.
Well, that's the burnout. That's the burnout. And that's the exhaustion. That's what we want to avoid. Now, you may recall, because we were in a class together not too long ago,
Yes.
and when we were talking about, what's the difference between stress and burnout. So, and I just talked about this at an event on the weekend to a group of people. And, stress are those daily stresses that can actually become chronic, but we can deal with them. You can get through them. And as you learn to identify them, you get better with it. Whereas burnout is complete exhaustion. I mean, your body stops. You're done. And no one honestly knows it better than me, because I actually blew out 2 organs and glands. Mm-hmm. And I'm on a medical device today to keep me alive, because my organs, my body literally stopped.
But wouldn't you say the burnout is because that we ignore the buildup of stress, right?
Yes, and I think when we're unaware, that's why I was saying it's really important to be aware, because when you're young, you go, and you think you're invincible. And even as we're older, we think that too, but we cannot ignore or not be so unaware of the signs and symptoms. And they're so subtle. They can be so subtle when you have high energy, but nevertheless, they're there. So
yeah, and also as I just think maybe experiences like about emotional pain. Sometimes emotional pain is hidden, but it manifests into physical pain. But we never know that physical pain it was caused by that emotional pain, right?
That's exactly it. Exactly it. And it's too funny, because some of the big distinctions and the things that people and your audience listeners really want to be aware of is there's stress on one side. And that means, like, there's overreactive emotions. It means that there's a sense of urgency and hyperactivity, and there's diminished energy, and that can lead to anxiety. But burnout, on the other hand, is where honestly you have like numbed emotions. It's like where you're not engaged. In fact, you're disengaged. There's that motivation that's like gone. It's like gone. And it's like that can lead to depression and emotional heaviness, right? And then you just feel like you need time, like you can't perform.
Like you don't see any future hope.
Absolutely. And that's just overkill on the body. Like, it's not loss of energy, it's actually loss of motivation, ideals, and like you said, hope. And that can be in a very, hard place to be in. And the recovery is great. But you know what? the solutions and the ways to kick that to the curb include, looking at number one, and people don't give this enough attention. And I work on this, I really do, but it's not just the amount of sleep that we get, but the quality of sleep that we get. I was doing a presentation to a sleep clinic not too long ago. And is it that lack of sleep causes so many chronic conditions from the stress? Or is it the stress is not able to help you sleep? So that's a big question. But really, one way for your body to handle stress and to avoid burnout is to get good quality of sleep. So you're looking at least 2.5 to 4 hours of deep sleep, REM sleep. And you're looking at a minimum of 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep a night. How many hours of sleep do you get a night, Annie?
I need 6. I need 6 to function normally.
Yeah.
But sometimes with the work, and I might have a few hours or not sleeping. But generally, I just sleep 6, and then I'm go. Right?
Yeah, and I hear you.
But I know some people they need more and some don't. But I do. I don't know whether the others have that habit. I have the habit of doing the power nap like a cat.
That's a great habit. So what do you do then? Do you do an hour in the day?
I would only do it 15 to 20 minutes, no more than 20 minutes. Because otherwise, and I wake up, it's sluggish. It's not right. So I don't know what it is. You know how I know that technique was when I was in high school. I was born and raised in Hong Kong, and it's kind of stressful and studying a lot.
Sure.
And then I was so exhausted, and then I couldn't fit anything more in. And they say the next day is the exam or test or whatever it is. So I decided, I doesn't matter how late I'm staying up, I'm not able to absorb anything.
Right.
So what I did, I set my alarm for 15 minutes, even 10 minutes.
Right.
And just took a nap. When the alarm rang, I woke up. And then I just thought, I just charged my battery. And then I go. I was able to absorb. Maybe I find that technique by accident. I just really have to stay up to finish it, but then I couldn't get any more information in. So I set it. So it's been my habit. But it's no time frame. When I do my power nap, it's when I need it. So it's not say I would do it at 2 o'clock, whatever time of the day. No.
So it's not like you had a set pattern.
My body feels it. Right, each day could be different, and I would just do that power nap. But I know that.
But you recognize it.
Yeah, because and also I notice if I do more than 20 minutes, more than 25, 30, anything over 30 minutes, forget about it. It's as if you're on a jet lag, when you wake up.
Yes, no, for sure.
Right, I don't have the scientific proof. I just knew I have been doing this for many years of my life, and it helped.
Well, it's good that you have a power nap. Now, my grandfather lived to be 100. In fact, all my grandparents basically were in their high 90s and 100s. Mm-hmm. And so I come from a family of longevity. But one thing that my grandfather always did was after lunch, he always took a power nap of about at least 25 to 45 minutes every day. And our bodies, actually, science shows us, our body needs at least, and we're not getting it, we need the 8 hours, 7 3/4 to 8 1/4 hours sleep every night, because that's when our body repairs. That's when the stresses of the day can be diffused and we can repair. So like you, for probably 13, 14 years, I was surviving on 5 hours of sleep, all the energy in the world, but it can catch up. Your body needs, that's what your body needs. Now, you were asking
I'm old enough it has caught up to me. Yeah.
So you were asking me some of the other things to kick stress to the curb. So the takeaways are to identify your stressors, acknowledge them, make a note of them so that you're more and more aware of them so that you have power with them, number one. Number two, separate yourself from them. So one of the ways to do that is to take those deep breaths. Go and do something different. I interviewed Brian Tracy. We know Brian Tracy, one of the greatest businessmen of all time. And his son, I was just interviewing him on what he does to relieve stress. And he does this and he lives by it. And he will go out for a run and he'll get an hour of exercise in midday because that resets his whole day. So movement and exercise is huge. I just interviewed an Olympian athlete yesterday. And again, that thing is moving consistently, not necessarily having to go and work out somewhere, but getting up and moving every hour to 90 minutes and being consistent.
That's why the 9 to 5 job is killing.
It is. And sitting down, you know, they say sitting down all day is the new smoking, like the effects.
Yes.
So that's stress on your body. You know, the other thing that's really, really easy to do, and it only takes a couple of minutes, is the breathing, recognizing your breathing and breathing from your diaphragm, breathing from when on the breath in, your tummy goes out so that you're getting that oxygen. So just doing some of the breathing techniques, which I can give you an example of later and maybe a download for your audience of a very simple technique to do. But it's really about keeping a positive attitude. It's about asking for help. It's about breaking things down into bite-sized, doable action pieces. And it's about setting limitations too. It's, learn to say no. I don't know that as entrepreneurs, we're very good at that. But you know what one of my biggest one is, Annie? I know that you know this because everyone always sees me with my healthy snacks and the bags that I pre-pack. It's always eating and having healthy fuel. You know, how you fuel yourself is really going to determine on how you manage stress and the performance that you give. So having healthy, like grazing, like as you notice, I graze throughout the day. So I might eat five or six small times just to keep my energy levels and to get the nutrients in.
Yes.
And to stay hydrated. And I think you're really good with that too. So staying hydrated is really important because all the stresses on the body, you don't know how it's affecting you chemically. So you always want to be hydrated.
Yes. Yeah. Now, can you tell me about someone that you may have helped and how it has enriched their quality of life?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'll give you an example of a client of mine, James. So James actually worked for the government. He's retired now, but he actually worked for the government. And he was in the area of accounting, so very stressful, doing work and overtime and working, not always being home on time. And there's other health challenges. So what I was able to do with James, and we spent a good amount of time together. I think he was in my 10-week program at the time, and then we did some one-on-one coaching for him too. So what we were able to do is we were able to help him. Not just identify the triggers, but we actually set aside time in the day more than once. So in his case, it was like 3 times a day. We set aside time that was just for him in the day. Didn't have to be long. Some of the time was like 10, 12, 15 minutes. And this was just time for him. So it was, again, separating himself. And what was able to happen for him is he was able to not only lose 30 pounds, with some of the things we put into place, he was able to de-stress the stress on his body from an internal inflammation perspective. This is someone who was able to start to normalize his blood sugar levels within 2 and 3 days of working together, and his blood pressure as well. So those are huge stresses because those ultimately, take your life. So if you're able to look at some of those things. So that's one way that I've been able to help someone.
Thank you. And how long is your program, and what would it be involved?
Okay, so one of the signature programs is the 7 Habits to Highly Healthy People, and it's really great because there's 7 habits, and then there's integrating what it is that those are that can help to balance your body. So the actual signature program is 10 weeks long, and then there's follow-up. There's also a private Facebook group for that as well. And there's one-on-one coaching involved too. So they can come to our website to CherylIvaniski.com and learn more about it there.
And you can serve clients anywhere, isn't it?
Yes. So there are clients globally around the world. Yep. I had a clinic for over 25 years, a center in Toronto, Ontario. And so that was where people could come in and we could work one-on-one or in groups often, and do projects. So now that there are masterminds and then there's some retreats, so that's great because people from wherever they are can come, and we actually do exercises together in groups and in smaller groups. So that's really great. But now in the online coaching program, it can be people from around the world.
Yes, with technology, now you can help a lot more people, like anywhere, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. And if they want to see you, come to the retreat.
Yeah, no, if they want to do some things in person, absolutely, because there's nothing like getting away and being in an environment that is not about what else is going on. It's about you. So, the investment in yourself. But we all need to do that. If I can give one big takeaway today for your audience and your listeners that are looking at how to, debunk stress, I would say the number one thing you can do is schedule time for yourself. Now, many people, including the great Mr. Jack Canfield of Chicken Soup for the Soul, I think he sold like 800 million books of all of his series. I had the pleasure, I was invited to write with him, and in my contribution, I talk about when stillness speaks. And the only time that we can hear the stillness speak to us is when our minds are quiet and there's not that chatter. Yes. And so many entrepreneurs and some of the most successful business people, the Oprahs, the Steve Jobs that were, the Jack Canfields, the Les Browns, the Brian Tracys, so many of the doctors, they take their power hour, and they have different elements that make up their power hour. But when it comes to stress, I believe we go beyond that, and we go beyond that to the small tweaks that we can change throughout the day and give ourselves, like I said, that 10 or 15 minutes and reset, just unplug and reset.
Yeah, that's my cat nap, power nap.
Yes.
10 minutes, that helps. Sometimes I take more than one,
sure,
in a day, because I think I'm just notice my body needed, and then I would just do it. So it's not like a fixed time in the day that I do.
No, it's probably you feel it, and then you do that when you feel it.
And I enjoy doing Tai Chi, which is like a moving meditation.
Oh,
so meditating while you're still moving.
No, it is. No, Tai Chi is, my sister does Tai Chi. Yeah, no, absolutely. I have yet to spend more time with it. I did it a few times out in the summer where they have open free exercises here at the meditation center. Right. And so from time to time, but that's a great one. I love that, Annie, Tai Chi.
Yeah, because it's just a form of meditation, but people don't notice it because it's so moving. So that's why, when I, people, I may be talking, but sometimes it's just I'm going inwards. It's relaxing to me, right? So you don't need to think, oh, I don't have time to relax, but even just a couple of minutes, it just refuel my recharge.
Yeah, it's a reset. It's actually a reset. So whether you're taking a rest and you're doing a little power nap, whether you're getting fresh outdoor air, whether you're rehydrating, or whether you're doing movements, these are all important. And then your focus, you have to interrupt your mind, because you can only stay focused on something for so long.
Yes, I think the issue of people getting stressed may be the awareness.
It is.
That it is ignore that signal that you actually just stop right now. Just going.
Yeah.
Treat your body, taking care of it.
Yes. And
right?
I think that's key. You said something very key. And that's, I have sticky notes all around me that say move, take a breather, reset. Because
even breathing.
Hours.
I think sometimes you just go on and you forgot that the breathing was so shallow, right? You actually not feeling it. So it's just such an easy thing to do. Even if you're sitting in a car, just take a deep breath. And
roll down your windows.
Roll down your windows.
Well, if you're not in traffic on the highway.
But even just remembering, take a deep breath, it's just such an easy thing, right? But we tend to forget to.
Well, you know what I did yesterday? I'm going to give you an example of something that I did that was fun, and I really enjoyed it. So yesterday, a friend, actually, a coworker, actually, a team member invited me over for dinner. And so I said, you know what, that sounds great. But actually, they have a business as well where they have a dog walking business. So it was really great because after a really wonderful dinner, it was like, so why don't we go out and with the dogs and take the dogs for walks? So there is this 125-pound Newfoundlander that we took out for a walk. But just being with animals and just being out for a walk was really great. Animals are really great. They're very grounding.
Yes. Good. So to summarize what we talked about stress, like, do you want to conclude? Like number one is to identify the stress, and then?
Yeah. So identify the stress, and it goes beyond identifying it. Now you have to have power with it. So, I think making notes, meaning, so like whether they're stickies, whether they're on your phone, whether it doesn't matter where you have them, so that you are aware. You can put the little alarms and timers on your phone so that it interrupts how long you're working at something, so that it takes your attention. So identify, put a mechanism in place that gets your attention so that you change up what you're doing. You stop, you remove yourself from what it is that you're doing, and you change what you're doing for 10 or 15 minutes, and then become more and more aware as you're writing down the things of how you notice how you're feeling, so that you can start to nip them in the bud a little at a time, so those things don't add up to cause you overwhelm and anxiety.
Okay. Yeah. So good. So we want to recap. To conclude today's interview, I would like you to tell us what's the free gift that you're giving to our audience so they can connect with you, right?
Sure. So I'd be very happy, Annie, to provide a really great downloadable PDF that's called Kick Stress to the Curb, How to Kick Stress to the Curb. And also, I can also give a free download for the chapter that's all about kicking stress to the curb from one of my best-selling books. So I can offer you those two. There's also a quiz that we can put on there for people. So we'll do all the above.
Yes, we will post the link to for audience to get download your free gift and connect with. All right.
No, and that's great. So. That's really wonderful. Thank you for having me on, Annie. You're awesome. So this has been fun.
And thank you. And I hope all the audience learning something today about how to identify their stress and the solutions of getting rid of
Yes, I hope so too, because like I said, people don't have to go through what I've gone through with stress and burnout and blowing out organs. There's a way to be effective with it, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Having a great quality of life, having a great business, and being a successful entrepreneur and member in your community.
Yes, thank you. And we're the United Networks for Growth is about the holistic approach towards entrepreneurship, so health, wealth, personal development, and business growth. That's all composed what we need to become an entrepreneur. So thank you for watching. So thank you, Cheryl, for taking time to speak with me.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you.
Bye.